Everybody is a winner by just being here, by just standing in front of an audience.
It is an indisputable fact that tertiary education translates into economic growth.
Honorable judges, like a chocolate teacup, my opponent's points are cute, but melt against the heat of reality.
2023 Intersecondary School Debate Series. You are with the 2023 Intersecondary School Debate Series, brought to you in association with Caribbean Union Bank. Welcome to our studio and television audiences. It is great having you all join us this evening. If you missed our first encounter, let me inform you that the All Saints Secondary School edged out the St. Joseph's Academy to advance in the competition. This evening, brand new encounter. Synoville Richards Academy and Piers Secondary School are meeting to debate the moot. All students should pursue tertiary education. Let's meet the members of both teams, starting with the proposition Synoville Richards Academy.
Good evening. My name is Jada Quinlan, and I'm the first speaker for the Synoville Richards Academy.
Good evening. My name is Damar Branker, and I'm the second speaker for the Synoville Richards Academy.
Good evening. My name is Dorisi Desi, and I am the first standby for Synoville Richards Academy.
Good evening. My name is Aiden Matthew Ward, and I'm the second standby for Synoville Richards Academy.
Thank you, Synoville Richards Academy. It is now time for us to meet the opposition.
Good evening, my name is Jada Benjamin, and I am the first speaker for the Piers Secondary School.
Good evening, my name is Daniel Athol Jonas, and I will be the second speaker for Piers Secondary School.
Good evening, my name is Naira Ralph, and I'm the first standby speaker for the Piers Secondary School.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lonika Kaur, and I am the second standby of the Piers Secondary School.
Excellent. Now that we have met our teams, it is time to meet the persons responsible for the adjudication this evening. As is customary, a panel of judges will decide on the team that will advance in the 2023 competition. Joining us this evening are Tarika Richardson Ferris, Compliance Officer within the Public Service. Dr. Renee Phillip, entrepreneur and consultant. Jamil Lee, program coordinator for UNICEF. And this evening, our alternate judge is Mr. Ursel Charles Jr. Also with us this evening, our timekeeper, Aisha Lynch. Please give them a round of applause. We will begin with the proposition's first speaker in this evening's encounter, and that will be from the Synoville Richards Academy, Jada Quinlan, followed by Piers Secondary, Jada Benjamin. We will then move on to the second speakers from each team. First speakers will be given 5 minutes for their presentations, and the second speakers 3 minutes. The bell will ring once and twice at the end of each speech, or at the end when the presentation has expired. Following the presentations, we will move on to rebuttals. In that segment, 3 minutes will be given to each debater. It is time to hear from our sponsors, Caribbean Union Bank. The competition begins when we return. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Union Bank for all your banking needs. Credit cards, savings, accounts, and CDs. POS terminals for convenience. While helping you with small business development. Whether you need help to achieve your goal, or land loans and mortgages for your dream home. Supporting many programs to help the nation's youth. CUB is always here for you. Times are changing, don't you know? CUB, you can bank on us. Whatever you need, just let us know.
UB cares. Call us today at 481-8278. Let's talk.
Welcome back to the 2023 Intersecondary School Debate Series. If you're just joining us, the moot for this second encounter in the first round between St. Novell Richards Academy and Pierce Secondary School is all students should pursue tertiary education. Just to remind both teams, the bell will ring once at the 2-minute mark and twice when the time has expired. We will now begin this encounter with the first speaker from the proposition. St. Novell Richards Academy, Jada Quinlan.
My colleague and I wish to propose the motion, all students should pursue tertiary education. Permit me to define the key terms and set the parameters on which our arguments will be configured. Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines all as including everything or everyone without exception. Students are persons formally engaged in learning, especially one enrolled in a school or college. Oxford Dictionary defines pursue as to continue or proceed along a path. Tertiary education is education for people above school age, including college, university, and training courses for particular jobs. Madam Moderator, my esteemed opponents, distinguished judges, listening and viewing audience, good evening. The moot demands that we critically scrutinize whether all students should pursue tertiary education. As the proponents, we hasten to confidently affirm our agreement. The task is mine to clearly establish 3 advantages of tertiary education, namely, acquiring a competitive advantage, promotes economic growth, and networking. My colleague will climax our argument, showing the social personal benefit of tertiary education and environmental sustainability. Firstly, my worthy opponents, the competitive edge delivered by pursuing tertiary education is twofold. 1, personally, and 2, nationally. Degreed persons are rewarded with opportunities to adequately develop their skills and knowledge under qualified tutelage, as well as establish a distinctive career path. Further, after completing tertiary education, these individuals will be in a better position to obtain well-paying jobs and be more marketable than their non-degreed counterparts. Madam Moderator, one only needs to look at an application form or job posting to see that employers are always listing applicants to list their highest level of education. Distinguished judges, the following citation from the World Bank underscores the priority of tertiary education in national development. And I quote, "We encourage countries to strengthen their tertiary education systems to build the professional expertise necessary to drive public and private sector development, to produce the doctors, nurses, teachers, scientists, managers, and so on needed to support growing economies." End quote. Esteemed judges, having most of you pursued tertiary educations, and I know the beneficiaries of it. Secondly, it is an indisputable fact that tertiary education translates into economic growth. Let's start with the obvious. Madam Moderator, right here in Antigua, statistics from Treasury Department reveal there is a serious wage gap between those with and without a degree, and that gap is projected to grow. In fact, a collective study by the Center on Education and Georgetown University found that people who hold bachelor's degree earn 84% more in their lifetime than those with a high school diploma. Is it any wonder, Madam Moderator, that our Prime Minister, the Honorable Gaston Brown, having recognized the importance of tertiary education to Antigua's economic growth, made the establishment of the UE5 Island campus his priority and a recent reality? Land opponents, have you noticed the relative greater economic activity and growth occurring in Barbados, Jamaica, and Trinidad? Do you know why? The one common denominator is this: each of these countries has a UE campus, a tertiary education. Perhaps our PM got it right. Ensuring the presence of UE5 Island campus is the catalyst to making Antigua and Barbuda an economic powerhouse indeed. Thirdly, an important dividend of pursuing tertiary education is networking. Worthy opponents, have you considered the importance of networking and forging dynamic relationships? Pursuing tertiary education provides opportunities for interfacing, interacting, and building professional relationships with a variety of people in academia, business, and government. Forming such professional relationships becomes vitally important beyond graduation. My worthy opponents, imagine Prime Minister Gaston Brown, President Barack Obama, or Bill Gates being your classmates in college and forging strong bonds with them. This is huge networking and socio-economic capital that can be utilized for personal advancement. Finally, my worthy opponents, it is important to look at the big picture. Over a lifetime, those with a degree simply earn more. Consequently, tertiary education remains the surest path to prosperity. I thank you.
Thank you, Jada Quinlan, Team Sonovel Richards Academy, and she completed her presentation in a time of 5 minutes and 4 seconds. Now for the opposition's first speaker, please welcome Jada Benjamin, Team Peers Secondary.
Today's mood, all students should pursue tertiary education. Madam Moderator, esteemed judges, ministry officials, distinguished guests, whether listening or viewing, today, opposition takes on a new meaning. Yes, my worthy opponents, we now acknowledge you and the fact that there are indeed benefits to acquiring a tertiary education. Even I desire to attend a university to pursue medicine. However, the word should in this argument is what creates some disparity. The ideas that words convey can make or break an argument. So permit me, please, to clarify the idea behind the concept should. The Encyclopedia Britannica defines the term should as being used to suggest something is the proper, reasonable, or best thing to do. The terms in this definition denote option. So therefore, they give us a sense that should does not equate must, but rather it strongly encourages in a particular line or direction. With this new understanding emphasizing choice, our position as the opposition is that all students should choose whether to pursue tertiary education. I will explain the social and political reasons for our position, while my colleague Daniel will expound the economic tenets to further express our perspective on the main issue of this debate, choice. Everyone is a genius. This quotation from Albert Einstein, a renowned physicist who, although pursued tertiary education, it was in an area of his choice. If people subscribe to the fact that we are all geniuses in our own right, stating that all students should pursue tertiary education is an imposition on not only our right, but freedom to choose whether to pursue tertiary education to begin with. Like Albert Einstein, all students the world over attaining the minimum certification from a college, university, or similar tertiary institution could cause social and political institutes to pervade our society. Let me elucidate, Madam Moderator. Academia, by way of the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, claims that being overeducated is having more education than is practical or useful. Honorable judges, consider the practicality, for instance. Will school graduates truly need a degree to wash dishes? Yet, someone needs to perform the seemingly menial task that help maintain every country. After all, in Antigua, tourism is everybody's business. So while one person may choose to pursue the engineering degree to develop the next top-notch electronic dishwasher, the essential and humble job of washing dishes still has to be done. No degree necessary. Overeducation, then, in colloquial terms, is too real. Try being over and under simultaneously. Seems a bit paradoxical. My worthy opponents, think. Our society could become highly susceptible to the underemployment that overeducation can cause. Surveying just 20 teachers from various secondary schools around Antigua and Barbuda, an alarming 14 have been told that at least once during their job search, after completing their highest level of tertiary education, that they are overqualified. That's a whopping 70%. If this is the experience of teachers, my worthy opponents, negative effects could touch the very fabric of our society because the threads of education will not be woven with love. Worthy opponents, remember the scope of this debate encompasses the world. Are governments prepared to wield the double-edged sword of commanding higher education for the masses? They should, like you, note the following issues if the political powers that be compel tertiary education. Education in its most effective offering may help the majority acquire insight that makes the corruption involved in political affairs become transparent. Some political parties, dare I say, even here in the Caribbean, should ponder their chances of re-election if the nepotism and bribery associated with the elections are exposed. The electorate could develop a more long-range view that is not in favor of the suffering that quick-patch corruption brings. Therefore, the wisest course is to let people choose. Additionally, allowing the pursuit of tertiary education to remain the choice of students and not entities like the government means choosing to not mess with the delicate psychosocial integrity of the population. Scholars support this. Psychology professor Jack W. Bren devoted his life to the theory of reactance, which Bren, 1966, described in short as a social psychological theory concerned with how individuals react when their freedom to choose is restricted. The negative that could ensue, according to the research brought forward in this article, proved that allowing choice in this area would be most positive as it could promote passion, perseverance, and productivity. Traits that any government would desire to be paramount among those that will populate the future continuous workforce. Please to not draw any conclusions before my colleague speaks, but rather bear in mind that over-education leading to underemployment, coupled with the negative effects of governmental interference on choice, are two elements that result in the opposition maintaining the stance that all students should choose whether to pursue tertiary education. Thank you.
Thank you, Jada Benjamin, the Peers Secondary, and she completed her time in 5 minutes, 8 seconds. We now move on to the second speaker proposition, Damar Branker, Sonovel Richards Academy. Please welcome her.
All protocols previously observed, good evening. I stand here in full affirmation of my colleague in defending our stance that all students should pursue tertiary education. I will further consolidate our position by discussing the socio-personal benefits of tertiary education, as well as how tertiary education promotes environmental sustainability. Worthy opponents, are you not aware that having tertiary education has been long acknowledged as being essential for both personal and social success? Truth be told, Madam Moderator, the non-monetary benefits of tertiary education are immeasurable. In his book, Higher Learning, Greater Good, education economist Malcolm McMahon suggests that a college degree brings better job opportunities, higher earnings, wiser health choices, which in turn leads to a healthier and longer lifespan. Distinguished judges, according to the article, Higher Education, It is Good for You and Society by Jack Grove, he says this, and I quote, "People who attend university are less likely to commit crime, drink heavily, or smoke. They are more likely, however, to vote, volunteer, prepare people for good citizenship, and educate their children more so than the non-graduates." My worthy opponents, the evidence is irrefutable. Right here in Antigua, these empirical realities of tertiary education are manifested in local communities of a higher socioeconomic bracket. Therefore, worthy opponents, isn't it logical to extrapolate that exposure of more of our students to tertiary education would make these benefits more pervasive, hence advancing our entire society? Worthy opponents, do you realize that environmental sustainability has become one of the main concerns faced by every country? Research has shown that individuals with tertiary education have more awareness and knowledge about this issue. A survey entitled "Students Call for a Strong Action on Climate Change," conducted among 1,000 UK undergraduate students, revealed that students are calling for bold action on climate change. Madam Moderator, The survey shows that the students are more concerned about climate change than any other issue. Is it any wonder then, Madam Moderator, that 70% of UK college students are advocating for total ban on single-use plastics? Another 80% are encouraging government to penalize companies who oppose climate change regulations. Honorable judges, tertiary educated students are at the forefront of aggressive advocacy and efforts to sustain environment globally. Were the opponents? Is this surprising? Definitely no. These college-educated students have first-hand knowledge of the urgent need for environmental sustainability because for many, this is their priority. Esteemed opponents, if you are still ignoring your pangs of conscience and suppressing the truth, consider this crucial point. The world is rapidly changing. Wake up! Technology is developing beyond our wildest dreams. Madam Moderator, the adage, it is not what you know, but who you know, has now become a fallacy in this century. Therefore, Madam Moderator, I emphatically affirm that students should pursue education so that they can meet these challenges with grit and determination. I thank you.
Thank you, Damar Branker, Sonovel Richards Academy. She completed her presentation in a time of 3 minutes and 35 seconds. I would like to remind our studio audience, as well our listening and viewing audiences, that the second speakers have 3 minutes to complete their presentation. Now let's hear from the second speaker, opposition, Daniel Athil Jonas, Pierce Secondary School. Please welcome him.
Adopting previously established protocols. Good evening. I will now emphasize how leaving pursuit of tertiary education as a matter of personal choice for students yields favorable economic outcomes. My argument aims to strengthen our position on the moot, which is all students should choose whether to pursue tertiary education. BA, BS, BSc, DRMA, PhD. Tertiary certification can become their own alphabet. The argument presented by the proposition alludes to the possibility that increasing amounts of education is necessary to become relevant for the upper echelon of the pay scale in most economies. This is not an untruth. However, repercussions need to be taken into account before a decision to compel students to pursue tertiary education. For example, the people who have to pay for it would have an incredible weight on their shoulders, nothing short of extortion, given the price of tertiary education in the first place. Education costs at the University of West Indies can range from $28,000 to $40,000 US just to undertake a first degree in software engineering, says UE.edu. Guess students will be playing limbo to see who can bend to the lowest cost scale. The thought may have crossed your mind, as did mine, I could get a scholarship, grant, or student loan. But this is no light bulb moment, because if the competition is as fierce as it is now, with no infringement on choice, what will it be like when crowds of students are vying for every assistance they can get? An economic monster shaped by compulsory tertiary education, called credential inflation, which is the tendency to require ever-increasing, often unnecessary, levels of education or qualification for a specific job, according to sociologydictionary.org. To offset the problem of credential inflation, both public and private sector employers will demonstrate basic economic principles by creating new criteria to determine who would qualify for a job. A never-ending process where compulsory tertiary education is demanded to do a job that their studies will not qualify them for, only to hear that they cannot get the job because they need to become better qualified, leading them right back to the drawing board. High school leavers will become not professionals, but professional students. They will pay with time and youth, resources that cannot be returned. After examining statistics presented by statistics.gov.ag for the 2013-2014 school year, this was quite the conundrum. It was determined that some 998 students enrolled in just 3 of the many local tertiary institutions in Antigua and Barbuda. If each student were to graduate, would there be enough adequate job opportunities to suffice this newly highly educated populace? one cannot help but conclude that there will be some Dr. Bagpackers and Professor Bus Drivers. I conclude by stressing that the compulsion could cause chaos. Therefore, all students should indeed choose whether tertiary education is really necessary for their future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Daniel Athel Jonas, Team Peers Secondary, and he completed his presentation in a time of 3 minutes and 8 seconds. A round of applause. We will take our second break to hear from our sponsor, Caribbean Union Bank. The rebuttal segment is up next when we return.
Caribbean Union Bank for all your banking needs. Credit cards, savings, accounts, and CDs. POS terminals for convenience. While helping you with small business development. Whether you need help to achieve your goal. Or land loans and mortgages for your dream home. Supporting many programs to help the nation's youth. CUB is always here for you. Times are changing, don't you know? CUB, you can bank on us. Whatever you need, just let us know. CUB, you can bank on us. Saving your money and your time with the quality service we provide. Banking the better way every time. CUB, you can bank on us.
CUB cares. Call us today at 481-8278. Let's talk.
Welcome back to the 2023 Intersecondary School Debate Series. If you're just joining us, the Novel Richards Academy and the Peers Secondary School are meeting to debate the moot. All students should pursue tertiary education. The rebuttal segment is about to begin. We begin with the opposing team, Peers Secondary School, Jada Benjamin. Each presenter will be given 3 minutes in which to complete their presentation. The bell will ring once at the 1 minute mark and twice when the time has expired. Put your hands together and welcome Jada Benjamin, Peers Secondary School.
Madam Moderator, honorable judges, like a chocolate teacup, my opponent's points are cute, but melt against the heat of reality. You're saying that we must pursue tertiary education? The second speaker stated that times are changing, so why must we be forced to attend tertiary education? What about freedom of choice? You brought up the UWI 5 Islands campus, but how much can UWI hold? You stated that people who pursue tertiary education are less likely to go to jail or commit crime. Doesn't that seem a bit biased to people who didn't pursue tertiary education and didn't commit crime? My colleague and I remain confident on our moot that states that students should choose whether they want to pursue tertiary education or not. Thank you.
Thank you, Jada Benjamin. A round of applause for Jada Benjamin of the Peers Secondary School. And she completed her presentation in a time of 44 seconds. We now move on with the rebuttals. We will hear from the proposition. Please welcome Damar Branker, Novel Richards Academy.
Worthy opponents, despite your valiant efforts, I stand here unmoved, unconvinced. Allow me to point out the obvious flaws to your argument. First, you mentioned people who do contribute to society who do not have a tertiary education. However, have you ever noticed that these very people always go back to tertiary institutions to gain certifications? Do you know why? This is because to be recognized within any industry, a tertiary education qualification is always asked for. Not only that, you acknowledge that this is an ever-changing world. And, I do feel that people need to find their place in it. Next, you mentioned the term of overqualification. But if people are overqualified, then this provides the opportunity to become the employer instead of the employee. If you can't find a job, no problem, make one. Next, you mentioned that tertiary education has immense costs. While we acknowledge that this is so, have you ever heard of the phrase, nothing good comes easily, or in this case, cheaply? Every year, our government invests hundreds of thousands of dollars in student scholarships. You can walk into any bank institution and find student loans dirt cheap. Worthy opponents, distinguished judges, Madam Moderator, viewing and listening audience, tonight we presented how tertiary education benefits us personally and as a whole. In light of the sound reasons we have presented, backed up by credible research, we maintain our position that all students should pursue tertiary education. I thank you.
Thank you, Damar Branker. Team Synovell Richards Academy. Round of applause. She completed her presentation in a time of 1 minute 46 seconds. This brings us to the end of the second encounter in the first round of the 2023 Inter-Secondary School Debate Series. Please show your appreciation once again for both of our teams, of course, for their hard work and their presentation today. Come on. We are asking you to stay tuned. Don't go anywhere, because when we return, we will have the judges' decision. Stay with us.
Caribbean Union Bank for all your banking needs. Credit cards, savings accounts, and CDs. POS terminals for convenience. While helping you with small business development. Whether you need help to achieve your goal, or land loans and mortgages for your dream home. Supporting many programs to help the nation's youth. CUB is always here for you. Times are changing, don't you know? CUB, you can bank on us. Whatever you need, just let us know. CUB, you can bank on us. Saving your money and your time with the quality service we provide. Banking the better way every time. CUB, you can bank on us.
CUB Cares. Call us today at 481-8278. Let's talk.
Thank you for staying with us. The Synovell Richards Academy and Pierce Secondary met in this encounter. The judges have deliberated and tallied their scores. To present their findings and to announce the winning team, please welcome Jamil Lee, Program Coordinator at UNICEF.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator, and good evening to all of you here and those viewing via television. The topic this evening was very well expounded on, and we'd like to congratulate both teams, the opposition and the proposition. All right. I know that I've sat in times past where you were, and so you really just want to hear the scores. But allow me a few moments to educate you. And even if it doesn't mean much to you right now, I guarantee you in the future it will. As the panel of judges, we were very impressed with the creativity that you brought to this debate. Your use of just gestures and different things that you would have learned during the training sessions to keep your audience captivated. Very good. We also found that each team approached the topic in with considerable depth. We definitely want to commend the opposition, knowing that you would have had a bit more difficulty, and the way that you mastered the topic, we want to give you commendation for that. Can we give them a round of applause, please? On both sides, there was very good use of references and it demonstrated evidence of research. A few concerns. Your notes should not be as visible, especially to your audience. All right? So while obviously you have to have notes, let's try to keep it out of the public's view. As well, we'd like you to modulate your voice a bit more and control your volume. You don't want to be on one level all the time, whether it's high or it's monotone. After a while, it turns off the audience. Those are the concerns. But on the line of the rebuttal, we can appreciate we still have a little bit more work to do. Which suggests that there should be some better use of time. You have 3 minutes. Take your time. Use the time. The recall of points from your opponents we felt could have been a little bit more. Each team gave us about 7 points, and the maximum recall that we got from any one side was 3. So there was a lot more material that you could have used. And we feel that if you elaborate more, not just simply identify what your opponent said, but really go into why you disagree with it, that would allow you to utilize the time that you have. All right? Is that helpful? So a round of applause for the judges. Thank you so much. All right. So what you really want to hear are the scores. And this evening, the judges have determined that the best speaker from the proposition Sir Novell Richards Academy is Jada Quinlan. From the opposition, the Peers Secondary, the judges concluded the best speaker, Jada Benjamin. So obviously the best speaker for this debate encounter is a Jada. And that is Jada Quinlan. The proposition, Sir Novell Richards Academy, with a total of 76.5, and Peers Secondary with a total of 57.7, we declare Sir Novell Richards the winners for this evening's encounter. Congratulations on both sides.
Another round of applause for both our teams. And a greater round of applause and congratulations to the Sir Novell Richards Academy for winning the second encounter in the first round of competition. Now, for the closing remarks, we will start with the opposition. Please welcome the member from Peers Secondary School.
Good evening, everyone. Before I start, I would like to thank God for getting us all here safely. I would like to thank my family, team, the people I worked with, my coach, my principal, our sponsor, Caribbean Union Bank. I'd also like to say that this was a very fun and educational experience for, I hope, everybody involved. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Daniel is very refreshing. Being the only boy up here today. Thank you, Daniel. That was Daniel Athil Jonas of the Peers Secondary giving closing remarks. Round of applause for him. Now, the winning team, Sir Novell Richards Academy, please welcome their representative.
Good evening. First of all, I would like to congratulate the Peers Secondary School. Win or lose, it was a fun and exciting debate. Next, a special thanks goes out to my mentors, Mrs. King Henry, my deputy principal, Mrs. Richardson, and also Mrs. Branca. Thank you for helping us go along this journey and training us for the presentations here today. I would also like to give a special thanks to my team members for giving us the motivation to be brave. How can I forget my Father, Jesus, heavenly up above? I would like to thank you for also getting us here safely, but for also answering my prayers and giving me the strength and the health I need to be here today. Thank you.
The fiery Jada. Another round of applause for the Synoville Richards Academy winning team for today's encounter. That's all the time we have this evening. Thank you for joining us, and if you stayed with us throughout the evening, thank you so much for staying with us. Join us next week for a brand new encounter when the grammar school, the Antigua Grammar School, meets the Irene B. Williams Secondary. Another exciting and informative debate awaits you. I am your moderator, Lucella Marsutton. Until next week, God bless, good luck, and goodbye.
Caribbean Union Bank for all your banking needs. Credit cards, savings, accounts, and CDs. POS terminals for convenience. While helping you with small business development. Whether you need help to achieve your goal, or land loans and mortgages for your dream home. Supporting many programs to help the nation's youth. CUB is always here for you. Times are changing, don't you know? CUB, you can bank on us. Whatever you need, just let us know. CUB, you can bank on us. Saving your money and your time with the quality service we provide. Banking the better way every time. CUB, you can bank on us.
CUB cares. Call us today at 481-8278. Let's talk.